Okay guys, so today we have a possible top signal on the SPY and QQQ, and you might say, oh, but you are crazy, Nathan. Today we had a new all-time high. Everyone is still optimistic. And yes, it is a very powerful uptrend, and even if a correction happens, it's hard to imagine a real reversal, right? But we can all be a little skeptical when we see a reaction like this, with a loss of momentum during the day closing in the negative after renewing the all-time high. Now, is that a reason to be worried? Well, of course not. As long as you know how to work in such a scenario, we can always design good strategies regardless of how the market behaves, and that's what we are going to talk about in today's video. We will update you on the market's main inflection points, which, if missed, could bring about a correction, and see what to do if that happens. My name is Nathan. Welcome to the Financial Hydra channel, where you receive daily unbiased analysis. So let's see what's going on over here. The SPY is still very bullish, okay? It is still going up. It is still a medium-term uptrend. We still see a sequence of higher highs, higher lows, right? So SPY is not crashing. It is not collapsing. And yes, we see a bearish candle today, just after making a new all-time high. However, here's the catch. We also had a bearish candle after a new all-time high over here, right? We had a bearish candle over here. We had a bearish candle over here. We had many bearish candles. And as long as we see the SPY still trading above all of our medium-term support levels, these top signals are not going to mean anything, okay? They could trigger a pullback on the SPY. However, a reversal, because remember guys, pullbacks are not reversals, okay? When we see the market correcting, I see many people panicking, saying that we are reversing. No, reversals and pullbacks are different things, okay? Pullbacks, corrections, more often than not, are just more buying opportunities, because we are still maintaining the uptrend. So any pullback is an opportunity to buy near a support level, near the 21-day EMA, the exponential moving average on the daily chart. So, okay, this top signal could trigger a pullback. If triggered, it wasn't triggered yet. We see this bearish candle today. Now, what could possibly trigger a pullback? If we lose and close below today's low. What's more, on the 1-hour chart, we see the SPY making this correction, approaching this double support level on the 1-hour chart, made by the 21-hour EMA and the 626, the previous top level here, top level here, top level here. Now, possible support level following the principle of polarity in technical analysis, okay? So as long as we see the SPY above today's low, above this double support level on the 1-hour chart, no pullback is going to materialize. There is no reason to panic over this reaction, okay? So now only if we see the SPY losing our double support level on the daily chart, made by this 21-day EMA 613, the previous all-time high from February, only by losing these two support levels, we are going to see a reversal. We are going to possibly see a reversal. Okay, for now, a pullback could happen, and the trigger point for this pullback is the 626 area. All right, excuse me. Which is also very close to today's low, close to the 21-hour EMA. All right, so that's the most dangerous inflection point for the SPY short-term wise, while the most dangerous key point for the SPY medium-term wise is the 613 area. Okay, so observe these two key points next week, because they can bring an inflection on the SPY. Ah, but Nathan, what if SPY fails in losing our support levels? Okay, the bull trend will just persist because, guys, we gotta react to what we see. A professional trader reacts. Amateurs, newbies, they try to predict the future. They try to use technical analysis to predict what's going to happen next, and that's crazy because TA, here we only look at the past. We look at the past and see what's going on right now in order to try to understand how the smart money is behaving, where the money is. We try to follow the money the best way we can, using technical analysis and, most important of all, risk management, okay? That's the most important thing of all, okay? Technical analysis without risk management is totally useless. Just as fundamental analysis, tape reading, algo trading, everything is useless if you don't know how to do the right risk management, okay? So that's how we see the situation right now. A possible top signal which could be triggered by losing the 626. So again, bear in mind these key points from here. They will dictate the next movement on the SPY. Similarly, we see the QQQ also making a possible top signal. Today's reaction is quite ugly, just as it was over here, and we saw no pullback, right? Just as it was over here, and again, no pullback, just as it was over here, and again, no pullback, and we can see many possible top signals that never got triggered. So, what could trigger a top signal on the QQQ? Again, loss of today's low, which is at the same time the loss of the 560, which is very close to the 21-hour EMA. By losing this key point, don't you agree that the QQQ would trigger a bearish pivot point? Lower high, lower low, trading below the 21-hour EMA, losing the previous support level. That could bring a sharper correction back to our next support levels like the 549, which is also very close to this 21-day EMA. Okay, so for now, guys, for next week, let's observe these two support areas on the QQQ and the two support levels on the SPY ETF as well, okay? Because it all depends on how the indices are going to behave above our critical inflection points and how this affects our stocks, because we see Nvidia still performing very well. I know we are correcting minus 0.34%, okay? That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. So, although we see a relatively annoying, relatively dangerous signal on the SPY and QQQ, Nvidia is still very, very powerful here. On the 1-hour chart, we still see a sequence of unstoppable higher highs, higher lows. See how we respect this 21-hour EMA. So, this key point is our major support level short-term wise. By losing today's low along with this 21-hour EMA, Nvidia is going to make a bearish pivot point. See, we are going to make a high lower than the previous high and a bottom lower than the previous bottom. So that's a classic bearish pivot point. This is a classic bearish reversal chart structure, suggesting a sharper correction on the daily chart. And if you ask me, any pullback to the 21-day EMA or maybe to the 163 area over here. I'm so sorry, 163, no. To the 165 area to close this gap could be totally normal, expected, natural, healthy. And then we may see another possible buying opportunity. That's not going to be a reason to panic, but a reason to wait and calmly see how we are going to react near our support level, because we may see just another buying opportunity after a pullback. Okay, so when we see our stocks correcting, we never panic. We never panic here in this channel. We understand that pullbacks are just part of this momentum. Medium term wise, bull trends are made of lower highs, lower lows, so lows will eventually happen, okay? So we are prepared for this. If you are not prepared for this, you should not be here in this market, okay? The market is not for you, or maybe you are just not ready yet. We know that stocks will correct eventually. That's why we gotta be very skeptical regarding any movement that kind of looks like euphoric, or when we see the market panicking as well. We are always skeptical. We always try to maintain calm and see how to behave when the risk reward ratio makes sense again. All right, and right now Nvidia, if you ask me, it is not making sense, the risk reward ratio. If you want to buy here, okay, you can buy, but we are far away from support levels. Far away from support levels. If you buy here, where is going to be your stop loss and your target? I mean, do you have the answer for these questions? What if we see the SPY, the QQQ correcting? Nvidia will correct as well, most likely, because it is a high beta stock, okay? It has a beta of 2.33. So yes, it is a high beta stock. We are far away from support levels, so it is a relatively risky stock to buy right now. I see dozens of stocks looking way better than Nvidia, Tesla, AMD, etc. These stocks, they are far away from our support levels, okay? The risk-reward ratio is not making too much sense. But again, that's not a reason to panic. No panic, no fear, no stress. That's how we work over here professionally and technically. And here, I invite you to join our community of traders and trade with me, with our group on the 5% project. There, you will have access to our trading signals based on our swing trading methodology that has already helped hundreds of traders to make consistent profits. You will learn once and for all to trade professionally, in practice, leaving the market for real with us. You can join the group for free to test our service, no strings attached, cancel whenever you want. We can help you make money consistently in the market, just as we have helped hundreds of traders who have learned from us over the years. Now, the link to my website is in this video's description. Check it out and see if you like what we have to offer. Now, okay, so Nvidia is still insanely bullish. What's the key inflection point that could bring a pullback? Again, 171.26. The loss of this key point along with the 21-hour EMA could trigger a bearish pivot point, suggesting a pullback on Nvidia. And we see Tesla going to report earnings in 5 days. Now, reporting earnings in 5 days, we are still going up nicely. Today we are up 3.21%. Okay, that's fantastic. If you ask me, our next technical target is the $335. Now, do we have any bearish reaction, any top signal? No, there is not a single top signal. We are still very close to the 21-day EMA. We are not making any bearish reaction. On the 1-hour chart, we are still making higher highs, higher lows. So Tesla is just fine right now. There's absolutely nothing wrong. I would trade Tesla if only if it would report earnings a little bit, maybe by the end of the month, right? Maybe next month. But right now, since it is reporting earnings in 5 days, it is not a good swing trading stock right now, okay? Because if you want to buy here, you have to sell quickly, because I never advise you guys to hold stocks during earnings report. They are too crazy, they are too unpredictable, so I prefer to avoid. Yes, of course, we can make a lot of money, but we can also lose a lot of money. So do you see, it is not worth the stress, okay? And this is one of the things that I pay attention. I always pay attention to the stress level the market can make us feel, okay? So if the situation is too stressful, most of the time it is not worth to waste our time, okay? We just wait for the stock to report earnings, all right, to see, and then we see how to behave next. If the stock collapses and makes a bottom signal near our support level, fantastic, amazing buying opportunity. Conversely, an explosion followed by a top signal, that could be a sell signal as well, right? But if you ask me, earnings are more like a gamble than a technical than a technical trade, okay? According to my style, of course, according to my trading methodology, okay? Now, AMD, this one is also correcting today a little bit more sharply, more than 2%. It is triggering a top signal. Do you see why? Do you see why? What's the difference between AMD and Nvidia? Nvidia is making a bearish reaction today, and we gotta lose today's low along with the 21-hour EMA to make a bearish pivot point. When we analyze AMD on the 1-hour chart, we see a very small bearish pivot point. The only thing is that we are still above the 21-hour EMA. So if you ask me, there is still one last chance that AMD could recover from here, but by losing the 158, by losing yesterday's low, AMD is giving us a very ugly signal that yes, that's a technical top signal, and odds are that we're gonna see a pullback on the daily chart, okay? What could avoid a sharper correction? If we see AMD making a miraculous, but it gotta be a miraculous bullish reaction above this 21-hour EMA, preferably closing above the 158 next Monday, okay? So all right, we could see AMD avoiding a top signal, but technical evidence favors a bearish case over here, okay? And again, any correction could be just another harmless pullback while maintaining the uptrend. That's what AMD has been doing since May this year, right? Pullback, retesting the 21-day EMA, flying again, pullback, flying again, pullback to the moving average area, fly again. So why this time could be different, okay? So why this time should be different? So that's how I like to try to teach you guys here on this channel, okay? Let's not panic over pullbacks. Know the difference between pullback and reversal. Try to adjust your strategies to the current moment using statistics, charts, facts to your advantage, okay? So that's how we like to work over here in this channel, okay? Now, we see Palantir. Unlike AMD, it is not triggering any top signal, but it is making a bearish reaction. Just like Nvidia, SPY, QQQ, etc., we see a bearish reaction, okay? If we lose today's low next week, along with this 21-hour EMA, then all right, possible pivot point suggesting a sharper correction, maybe in the best case scenario to the 148. Now, we could correct to the 21-day EMA as well, okay? Because again, that's what we have been doing, right? Rally, pull back to the moving average. 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 Rally, pull back, okay? If we see Palantir losing today's low along with the 21-hour EMA, only then we may see a sharper correction. And honestly, ideally, I would favor a sharper correction, losing the 148 back to the 21-day EMA. Okay, I favor such reaction, all right? Because then we may see another buying opportunity closer to our support level with good risk-reward relationship. So I prefer to see pullback, but we'll see, right? Only time will tell. So far, Palantir is not an amazing buying opportunity, but it is going up nicely. If you have Palantir, you can just hold your stock because there is no technical evidence suggesting a top signal or pullback yet, okay? Yet. Pay attention to the key points I described to you guys in this video. And now we see MicroStrategy, this one. making a very sharp correction, right? Dropping more than 6%. Let's take a look at Bitcoin over here, because Bitcoin is not correcting that sharply. Maybe there is something weird with MicroStrategy. Bitcoin is in fact still making a sideways correction. This is better seen on the 1 hour chart, okay? We see this movement over here, this huge congestion on the 1 hour chart without a clear breakout, upwards breakout, but without losing your support level as well. If you ask me, Bitcoin deserves a pullback to the 21-day MA, or maybe even to the 111, to the $111,000. Okay, so we deserve a sharper correction, but we gotta break free from this congestion, making a downwards breakout. Okay, so only then we may see a decent pullback. We see Coinbase is going up today, is actually going up 2%, retesting the all-time high. Okay, in fact, it is making a new all-time high intraday. So if you ask me, although we are bullish, although we are still going up, that's the perfect place for Coinbase to trigger a top signal suggesting a pullback ahead, all right? Just like MicroStrategy is doing right here, right now. Okay, so guys, these Bitcoin related stocks, Mara, let me take a look at Mara, by the way, before I forget. Yes, Mara found a top level over here, and right now, clearly, this key point is working as a resistance level for Mara. So, again, just like with Coinbase, if we see a top signal below this resistance level, fantastic. That's the perfect place for Mara, for Coinbase to correct below their resistance levels. Then when they make a pullback, all right, we will try to buy. Just like we bought over here, Mara, we also bought Coinbase near this 21-day EMA as well, right? We also bought MicroStrategy right here for the second time, here on the first time. Now these companies, they did a phenomenal movement. I gave you guys the signal on our Telegram channel, by the way. The link to my website is in this video's description. So yes, we bought all these Bitcoin related stocks. Now, if you ask me, with MicroStrategy making this movement, Coinbase near its resistance level, Mara near resistance level, now is the time to sell. Okay, not to buy. The time to buy is here, near the support level. The time to sell is far away from support level, near resistance levels. Okay, we have another resistance level on MicroStrategy over here. We already sold this one, all right, when this one hit our target. Now, if you ask me, MicroStrategy is just making a pullback to our support level between this 21-day EMA and the 426, the previous top level over here. So now, if we see MicroStrategy reacting, that would be perfect, okay? But if you ask me, this one could make a slightly sharper correction, okay? We gotta correct a little bit more before performing well, because we see Bitcoin, we see Coinbase, Mara far away from their support levels. They deserve a better correction. So this one is in a more delicate situation, okay? But it is doing what I really wanna see other stocks doing, like AMD, like Palantir. So it is interesting. This one is on my radar. It is always on my personal radar, okay? We always trade MicroStrategy, Coin, Mara very often on our Telegram channel. So it is, of course, on my radar, but another buying opportunity will appear only next week, after a few more days, okay? We gotta give a few more days for MicroStrategy to materialize a clear bottom signal, because so far there is none, all right? There is none. And we see Micron. This one is making a sharper correction, okay? We saw a bull trend, higher highs, higher lows, right? Fantastic. Then we saw a pullback. Okay, another harmless pullback, right? Yeah, maybe then we saw this. Okay, we saw this bearish pivot point, and this is a very nice example of how we behave when we trade stocks, because we don't know if our stocks are going to fly or are going to flop. We can't possibly tell. So that's why, for instance, of course, we didn't buy Micron over here, but if we bought Micron near the support level, near this 21-day MA, our stop loss would be below this support level over here, below the $118. That's the key support level for us. By losing this key point over here, this is it, okay? Quit the stock. That's your stop loss level. Stop losses are here to protect us from a sharper correction, from a bigger loss. It's totally okay to lose money. Again, we are prepared for this, all right? Or you should be prepared for this, because if you're not, again, the market is not for you, my dear friend. Losses will occur. It is not about avoiding losses. It's about mitigating them and using them as tax credit, all right? So that's how we do, okay? We just set a stop loss over here and that's it. We don't look at the stock again. And right now you may ask, but Nathan, why didn't you guys buy Micron near the support level? Because the risk reward ratio was not attractive. Okay, our target would be right here. If we buy over here, see, the risk reward ratio, this is the potential loss and this is the potential gain. It is not much more than our losses, okay? So I prefer stocks with better risk reward relationship, okay? And then of course I see many stocks performing way better than Micron every single day. So yes, we ignored Micron over here. Now it is correcting, okay? It is correcting a little bit more sharply. This happens. It is totally normal. What's next for Micron? If you ask me, since we are making a lower high, lower low on the daily chart, we are reversing the medium-term trend, making a long-term pullback. Pullback to the 21 weekly moving average. That's where I see Micron next. And very simple situation, right? If you're still watching this video for nearly half an hour, you must like technical analysis, so come on, subscribe, because we are here every single day talking about technical analysis, price action, trading psychology. We analyze many stocks every single day. So you are more than welcome to join us in this channel, my dear friend. I think this channel is for you. I need more people like you in this channel, okay, who are capable of watching a long, dense video on technical analysis, such a complex, conflicting topic, okay? So we are here to try to help you to trade better using strategy. We are here every single day. Subscribe and click the like button. I always appreciate your support, my dear friends. Thank you so much. Stay safe. See you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.